Hello and welcome to the Grand Slam Australia preview. I'm Michael Sidgwick, joined by Michael Hamflett to discuss everything that's in store for us on this weekend show. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube for daily wrestling podcasts where we preview and review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0, Dynamite, Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have wrestler interviews on occasion. We have question and answer time podcasts, roundtable discussions, and we host a roundup of the week complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. Now, if you were to say to me, Sidge, Grand Slam Australia, are we in for a bad show? I would say no. Because I'm really looking forward to it.
That's good.
Now, that's all good stuff. I am really, really looking forward to this show. But before I give you my thoughts, Hamflett.
I broadly agree with that intro, Sidge. I would say that, like, with these desks, when you say things like that, that's when good neighbours become good friends.
Mm-hmm. I know you'd be, you know.
Well, we can all do Australian stuff.
Okay, we can. I was just about to tell you off.
This isn't a preview. This is a preview.
Yeah, we've just, you know.
we've covered it.
We've covered it off. I'm immensely looking forward to this show. I know you're not, but I'm going to try and get... What's your problem, basically? Hamflett, what's Hamflett's problem now?
Non-complainer.
Because you've been... Hang on.
I'm medium on this one, yeah. There is elements of this I'm really looking forward to, but I think that's sort of...
You've been broadly in favour of AEW, so what's with the contradiction, mate? Might.
We could do swear. I can't bleep, otherwise we could do swear words because Australians love affectionate swearing. Close to us in that regard. Some Americans get a bit scared with the old swear.
Have you seen the Instagram reel with the llama and the alpaca?
No.
I'll try and find it. It's absolutely wonderful.
It's made me want to go and watch the Jack Kangaroo.
Yeah, it's Liquid Australia.
Yeah.
I'll find it.
I like the Manic Street Preach song Australia, but that strikes me as the kind of song you would hate.
Just get on with it. Why? What's your problem? Because you've been broadly in favour of AEW's direction, and this show a lot of people are starting to slowly come around to, and you're
I genuinely forgot.
I am, so I'll bring the enthusiasm imminently.
I was going into this show. It's unsurprising what's responsible for this. I was going into this show, and indeed this weekend.
Is he going to bring up the Fed?
Nope. Absolutely not. God, no. What I'm going to bring up is about as far away from the Fed as anything in all of pro wrestling. Thinking about the Toni Storm Mariah May main event, which I believe it will main event, and the Ospreay Omega tag, which has like a 5-star floor. And that's stuff to get excited about, absolutely. And then riding the high of the last bit of promotion, I guess, for Mercedes Moné and Harley Cameron. And then, so I'm thinking about these things. I'm like, actually, yeah, it's going to be a time, probably on a Sunday, I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll be able to watch it live at the weird airtime, whatever it even is. I'd like to avoid spoilers. I want to watch it as intended. And the crowd will be hot. It's going to be this, like, a really good crowd for 2025 AEW, 15,000 or something. So for all the various disasters along the way, the end result is good. Lots of stuff that is my cup of tea. And, like, I'd forgotten when I said to you this morning, is it me or you and Wilborn? And then when you said, it's me and you, and it's because in that moment, the only thing I could think about on the show was the Brisbane Brawl. I don't know why, but I forgot everything else. And I was like, the Brisbane Brawl. I don't know what, I am so put off by that. And I'll be totally truthful, I'm not asked about Okada and Matthews. That needs to like win me round on the night rather than simply impress me from a graphic point of view. The end of Dynamite leading into the Brisbane Brawl, I just can only hope it opens. I hope we get a cope open, and then it's like out of the way, yo, because there are way more emotional stakes in, well, the big tag
everything
else, but they've gone in hard with the Australian talents, which is a nice gesture, and every single one of them should lean in as hard as they possibly can. Like, I know Australia's a massive country, but treat it like it's a tiny town and you're going back to your hometown and your mum and dad are there or whatever. So there's all of that in all of these matches, and the Brisbane Brawl has like token New Zealand guy in Jay White and this storyline that by and large is pretty terrible across AEW. So if they can just do that first and get out of the way, then it's plain sailing. Like I will be way higher if that goes on first. If I have to sit there and dread it, I will be thinking about it and it will impact the vibe.
Well, I'm going to take a very, very positive outlook on this show to a degree that even this time last week, I don't think I'm taking. But I am going to say one potential. I've got one thing that's worrying to me about this show, and I'm going to get it out the way because I do want this to be quite a positive podcast, at least from my perspective, and that is the announcement. Oh, we're just going to do AEW versus Ring of Honor Global Wars. I worry that they're going to do, and it's only 4 matches, I believe, but that with the 5 and the 2 hours, I just worry that it's going to have the lull that every big AEW pay-per-view does. And again, it's not that big of a deal. It lowers the ceiling from a 10 to a 9 or a 9.5 when these AEW pay-per-views are at the very, very best. But I just worry that they're going to burn out the crowd for some Ring of Honor nonsense that I've got no time for.
Do we know for a fact it's going on first?
That's the thing.
Because that would be something, wouldn't it? Like if they...
That's another problem that we should address. This has got a lot of goodwill ruined. Like, not much in the way of trust has been fostered with this show, which I think has dampened the build and the excitement. People didn't know what it was. People don't know when it is. That's natural because it's following the NBA All-Star game. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're just going to get this stuff in the can or if they're just going to do it all in one night and then just delay the feed. And it's like, right, we'll just press start from what we've already done, or what?
To give the perspective to represent everybody, hopefully, as we'll try to on the podcasts like these, is there an argument to be made that AEW will have looked and seen a lot of disappointed customers that have already placed down money on either travelling to Brisbane and the cost of that, even if you're in Australia, the original expectation of a stadium for those day one purchases that has since become a smaller venue. And they're getting a bigger night with more wrestlers, and it's just a nice...
It's nice for the paying people.
And like there's in that show of good faith, AEW are then rewarded with the best possible crowd because it's like, thank you for coming. Apologies, it's not what you expected, but you're going to get more than just 5 matches here tonight. It's going to be great. And to them, it is actually going to be great. Yeah. It's not going to be a burnt-out Chicago that's had AEW gazillion times and doesn't want to sit through another Rampage or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. That's probably the generous way of looking at it. But that leads me to my next point about why I am very, very hyped about this. There's lots of reasons. I'm going to go into them right now. One, I think the AEW pay-per-views are too long, and I probably accept that fully as being on the other side of the pond and 39 years old with 2 kids and in a constant state of fatigue, and there's something frigging different every single day that you have to either address or you have to bear the emotional weight of not addressing yet.
Yeah.
Like we've got there's something wrong with our drains and our pipes. There's a bit flew off in the storm. And I'm thinking that's going to come back to haunt me. And every now and then it just pops into my head.
Yeah.
If I could just get it done, but then when are you going to do that? I have to take a day off, but no, I've got half term to take.
Kind of a nightmare being an adult, isn't it? Like, in that respect,
it's like a daily nightmare. So I have to get this addressed, but then I would have to take a day off work. But then when do I take the day off? Because I've got upcoming time off because of half term. The kids should be in school every week. Just rotate the teachers.
I agree. 52-week calendar.
Yeah, rotate the teachers.
Work.
So I'm thinking, if I've already got time off for that, then I'll worry about that problem later, but you know in your head it's a problem, and because you know in your head that it's a problem, you are taking the psychic damage of it being a problem. Now, everything just weighs you down. So then a 4-hour commitment, that's a lot. I want my escapism to be a little bit snappy before I fall asleep and I can eventually forget the horrors of the world. Well, this is where Grand Slam Australia comes in, and I'm not representative of the AEW fandom at all. Certainly am I not representative of the Australians who've bought tickets and shelled out fortune for this, realistically, to get Collision, like a really good looking Collision, but a Collision. So I'm not speaking for anyone other than myself when I say yes, 2 hours of snappy pro wrestling. That's enough for me at the best of times. At
Saturday night's elite event.
Yes, indeed. You don't have to do a thing like this every single time I'm talking. You know, you don't have to, so please stop it. So I'm talking about the fact that it's going to be there's a AEW. And I know this is not necessarily true of the Australian fans who have been screwed over, realistically. I'd be pretty upset if I was getting a Dynamite and not an All In, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm not speaking on their behalf, but AEW has needed levity for the longest time. Either, like, if they just craftily shortened those pay-per-views when they expanded the calendar to, like, just insidiously do one a month. That's pretty much where we're at now, if not quite, but almost. And then Collision's just added to the effect of this anti-premium deal. So I like this purely, and it's selfish, but that's why I personally am invested in it. I think we might be underselling Hot Atmosphere better than TV. Like, yes, it's not a massive stadium. It's the third largest gate. That's because they've gouged their eyes out on the prices and the tickets and everything like that.
I read that and I was trying to work out how that happened, but like
because they've just gouged. They must have gouged their eyes out for the prices.
The first stadium.
Because they've had better gates. They've had more like better gates and attendances.
Yeah.
Attendances more than like houses and gates or whatever. I think though it's the first time in the market. Australia is more, well, at this point, vastly more underserved than the UK because we get, All In or Forbidden Door annually. WWE started coming annually to the UK as well.
It's a hard
Clash
market
at the Castle.
the travel, just because you live in the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a holiday to get to another city, isn't it?
The Australians, are a boisterous lot. They bloody love it.
They bloody love it.
Yeah. So I think that they're going to be in the mood to be making some noise. Like, genuinely, I don't think it's a case of, there's a lot of people in the building, it'll be hot. First time, underserved market. I think the ceiling for this is, like, genuinely a celebratory, like, you're going to get the best of the UK crowd, that kind of ambience, but, like, feeling like they need to seize the opportunity to go and see AEW live with both hands. I think the build for this has been sufficiently strong that from what I'm getting from the Aussies, shout out Sir Samuel, is that, right, okay, yes, it's not what was advertised in the brochure, but my God, I'm going now. Let's make some bloody noise and all the rest of it. Like, it's the peak for this, considering the pretty inspired and less than inspired in some cases home country booking that we've got. You might get his atmosphere as celebratory as, like, we're talking Leon, Puerto Rico, like the peak of All In One.
Could this
Danielson swerve, like, not the same emotion, maybe the same emotion, goddammit.
If often
this could be like, one more thing, just to TLDR, this isn't just loud. This could be like a furnace.
Well, in terms of that and how some of the results could go and the prospective quality of at least two of the big matches, like, if all of that is true, and I think you're right, all of that is true, and how when a product starts to get good again, and we try and put this across as often as we can in podcasts, I certainly did when I could see it trending that way with WWE, often that journey is way better than you realise and often better than the end destination.
Yeah.
It's like, you got to live in this because this is actually the secret really good bit is right here. Has this got, like, is the ceiling of this like AEW's best show of the year? I'm not saying you've worked me into thinking, I'm not so fussed, Sidge, to being like, God, I'm going to have to be seated for this. Because the way you lay it out in terms of atmosphere and potential results.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're kind of stepping on our own dicks here, but like, let's say all the Aussies lose and then Tony Storm wins in the main event.
That's where I think it's going, and then you build the idea
Swells, doesn't it?
Come on, we need to get behind one of them has to win. One of them, yeah.
And it's the biggest one of the lot. Yeah. Like, that, in my head, is like one of, if not the best thing the company does all year is like a presentation.
Yeah. There is a real, and I think even something like checked out Okada, but I think there's the scope for potential in his match. We'll get to it. Even like Cope, Mox, and this disastrous wider storyline that they're telling, like, it could be atmosphere can elevate anything. We've seen it a million times. There is potentially a complete conditional all killer, no filler scenario here. Like, genuinely, they've never got
takeover.
Yes, which is better than the actual branding. This is under, because I don't think they've got a Grand Slam right perfect so far. The first one, they had one of the most perfect moments in pro wrestling history. Omega Danielson, bell pop. How has this happened? It's amazing.
Happy birthday, Sidgwick.
Yeah. But then the main event. Can you remember what the main event was?
Oh, God.
Actually, no. People like the button, God damn it.
It's time to play the game! Time to play a game! Ha ha ha!
What was the main event of the original Grand Slam?
I was going to say it was the Mox and Kingston tag with Homicide, but that was
Rampage.
Rami P, wasn't it? You're going to have to tell me. That's the only thing I've got in my head now.
It's astonishing that this happened really, but it just when you hot your heart and
2.0 in the mix with Daniel Garcia. Nope. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
I can see there's a very good reason why you're never going to get this.
A very good reason why I'm never going to get it. It's just not coming to me. I'll know it when you tell me because I remember watching the show live.
Because it was a women's match and it was Dr. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho.
Was that
the main event of the Dynamite Grand Slam?
Was it? Is that where Saraya debuted? I'm a year.
That was
following year, wasn't it?
That was the following year. Yeah,
2022. That was the main event. Wow.
Right. And Britt Baker was hot as hell.
Yeah. And they would often do a rampage back
And the
then.
match wasn't very good.
No.
It was fine, but it just didn't really fit.
Because Ruby Soho had won the shot at All Out.
And she was as hot as she was ever going to be, realistically. Because she just debuted as well. And then the year after, well, it was post Brawl Out. Mm-hmm. So the vibe was already off. I think they did the tournament final and it was Mox and Danielson, and it wasn't as good as their Killer Revolution match. Yep. I think it really got going. One of those really almost WrestleMania wrestling matches where last 3 minutes great, everything else a little bit sludgy.
I wanted Danielson to win as well. I remember wanting him to win the belt.
Yeah, and then 2023, MJF Joe, that was great.
Through the house.
That was great. Drew the house. But then you had Moxley Phoenix.
Cole got injured.
Moxley Phoenix with a concussion. It was a bit of a curse show. Then this year's was probably the best as an all-rounder. Nothing on the peak of Omega Danielson, but Bucks, Ospreay, Fletcher, amazing. Mm-hmm. Darby, Moxley might have been better not in a stadium, even though it didn't, you know what I mean?
Nigel and
a bit
Brian
methodical.
Sentiment rather than...
Yeah. So it's still like a really, really good two grade show. But I honestly think this one could be the best Grand Slam yet. Yeah. And maybe that's not the ceiling that people wanted, but it's what we've got. And again, the brevity, that's the word I should have used earlier. The brevity of it could really, 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 really help.
It's the polar, it does good for the brand because it's the polar opposite of how Arthur Ashe's become this like...
Please don't go back.
Realization.
It's a thing to dread rather than a thing to celebrate.
Whereas this is the opposite. They're getting back to old Arthur Ashe days of the 10,000+ people and lighting it up and everything like that. Yeah. So,
well, should we go match by match? Right. One more thing actually on the card. I watch wrestling for two things: to feel something and to watch just the absolute state of the art, best you're gonna get. I've got lots of different hobbies and very little time. I want all my hobbies to kick my ass in the best possible way. I can't deal with solid. I can't deal with 7 out of 10s. And the good thing here is that, as you said, there's a match with a 5-star floor, and then there's 2 matches. One increasingly creeping up on the other of like genuinely special, emotional reactions where you can feel the fans really actually earnestly want something. Like depending on where you look at the card, I'm going to get everything I personally want out of professional wrestling. But let's go match by match. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. I would expect this to start. I don't think you're going to get much of an audience to stick around long term who are watching the NBA and, you know, what's the lead? And I'll watch this. I used to watch wrestling. Yeah. If you've got a chance, if you're watching an actual shoot sport, and you watch sport for like drama and high-end athleticism, it's got to be the tag. It's got to be the tag for me.
Do you not risk... I would put this on second from last because I think the only thing that follows it safely is Toni Storm. Star power of Toni Storm, not even the match quality, but nothing follows this for me. And I think realistically, knowing AEW, they either go with Okada Buddy, and it's like, great wrestling, just had the best wrestling, so I'm not interested in your great wrestling. Or Harley, Cameron and Mercedes.
Buddy's over in Australia.
He is over. It was the
that's what. So again,
super showdown.
There's inspiration all over this card and the book and the way it's being constructed.
Maybe leaning on sentiment is going to really benefit them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I think I'd go with this first, with the idea being give them 20, 25 minutes.
Any argument about? I'm just trying to get a bit of ball out of the way that like. Moxley and Edge are the recognised guys, and when it was the last time it was the NBA, I mean, it was much to his chagrin. It was Chris Jericho, wasn't it? And sense of like
on that basis, I would say get them in a good mood first, and then go, "Oh, stick around. I used to know them."
Yeah, like, maybe. Yeah.
What was my favorite Jericho NBA tweet? Fat Jericho, a king in this fake WWE, yeah?
Wow.
It's just like, it's completely, that is a wonderful way to articulate someone who doesn't like this. I used to think it was the best ever in 2020 somehow. And then that is just, it's great part of that. Unbelievable. Like someone said, Jericho out here looking like Miss Trunchbull.
Oh, God.
I mean, that's absolutely unbelievable.
That is beat for beat perfection.
Yeah, I love that.
From like, there's an innocence to that cruelty.
Yeah.
In the construction of that tweet.
So
It's
like
our colleague at the Christmas party, Danny Baggett. Shout out Danny when he says, "I've seen AEW. Have they got? Is that like the retirement? I saw the Hardy brothers, and it was like that.
well, it's meant to be the opposite, actually.
Lapsed fan words that like cut through.
Yeah,
that's what a tweet.
So if I was trying to be cruel, just as a thought experiment here, okay, not my actual thoughts, obviously, but we're trying to get into the minds of the casual fan. And if I'm right, I'm there. So if I'm getting in the mind of the casual fan, and you see Cope/Edge come out, and he's looking a bit more like gaunt in the face these days. It's good that he's healthy, he's lean. But if they say, did not have catering in this new one.
In this fake ass WWE.
Yeah. Things like that.
Yeah.
So we want to move away from that. We want someone like
Best where the best wrestle.
you want to rate the super hunks of Takeshita, Fletcher, Omega, and Ospreay, and they've got like the athleticism that a sports fan would probably gravitate towards. So I'm sticking this on first. You said 5-star floor. It's not far away from the truth. This is one of those where if it's like for whatever reason not quite as good, and you'd stake, I don't know, 4.25 on it, you go, why isn't it 5? You get really pissy and childish and spoiled and entitled. This is me. I would be, why isn't it 5? That was crap. You know what I mean? Yeah. I will. I'll be.
Dave will go 5.25. He's already written it down.
He's already written it down.
And so it's already in next week's Observer.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 4.
Indeed.
And they might have to change the 4 to a 2.
Look, that's the pressure they are on. That is the pressure that they relish. This is why all 4 of these, for sport, love of the game, artistic legacy, the sheer determination to have that attitude of don't tell me how to wrestle. It's like when Kenny Omega, after, was it Forbidden Door 2023, and people going, Kenny, shouldn't have done that. You're going to hurt your neck if your head and the tiger drive. And he's like, you don't tell Mike Tyson how to box. You do not tell Tyson Smith how to wrestle. Yeah. These are 4 unhinged, for the love of the game, lunatics. I expect Omega and Ospreay are going to win. I'm going to worry throughout that they are not going to live or that they are going to break their necks. So I'm not going to be concerned if that's predictable when I'm in the process of losing every one of my senses in about 2 minutes. So I don't care about how predictable it is. I just want to see my guys win. It's classic pro wrestling in a way, and it's also completely state-of-the-art, stupid, like absolutely stupid head drops. Like,
I've got a finish for you.
These and I've got some sequences as well.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us your finish.
So the 2 stories are, they've got to deal with the Callis family once and for all. They're better. We know they're better. Time to put them away for good, definitively.
Oh my God, I've got the opening for this match.
And they are competing with each other. There's a bit of subtext, isn't it? That like, I'm the best now that I'm back. Well, Kenny, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you because I'm the best now. Well, we can't both be the best, but we'll deal with that another day. Stereo Tiger drivers for the finish.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Opponent's dead, but who's the best killer? We still don't know.
Yeah. I love that. And I do think they'll maintain the thread of, I still want to be better than you. We just need to rid ourselves of this common pest of an enemy first before we do that. But then what if we take this further and be tag champs? There's loads of directions this can take, but they obviously have to win first time. What they could do at the start of this match, I've got a feeling that there's not going to be much in the way of Ricky Morton selling and 1 save per match and all the rest of it. I'm fairly certain it's going to be glorified tornado stuff. Watch it. I've got a speech impediment.
I didn't say a word.
I always take the piss. I never jump down anyone's throat if they get anything wrong. You know that. So, tornado style, there'll be some unhinged table spots in here as well. Kenny Omega, just for fun, likes taking unprotected chair shots to the head. So maybe we'll see something like that too. I'm expecting completely blistering, state-of-the-art action, high-flying head drops, unbelievable counters, saves that you can't believe it's not the 3. So you might as well be at the top of the bloody bleachers, and yet somehow they've been saved because they've got this way of obfuscating what comes next in the sequence. You'll not be able to track it. You'll be in a state of total delirium when this unbelievably athletic, propulsive match is unfolding. How it starts, though, is, and I love your finish, I don't think I'm going to better that. What if, tornado style, the pair off, and it's, I think the pair off, and it would be Ospreay Takeshita and Omega Fletcher, with the idea being Omega and Ospreay and Fletcher will come together because they're still in this feud, and Omega and Takeshita, it's a bit more sexy, I think, than
Would agree.
Omega. So that's how the pair off, right?
They've had the singles, haven't they? Takeshita beat him.
Takeshita beat
Kenny.
Yeah.
20,
First try.
23.
Well, first try in AEW.
Yeah.
2023 at All Out.
Of course, yeah.
So the pair off, it's Ospreay, Takeshita. What a luxury to do. Oh, we'll do that before we get to the other bit.
Yeah.
Are you joking? Are you pissing me? Omega Fletcher, who've had one match on Dynamite, but that was well before Fletcher discovered his final form. It's almost like, the late 97 Rock Austin Raw, or like DX. It's not the same.
No.
Don't worry, it'll get even better, like much better from here. So they do, each pair does the Will Ospreay martial arts sequence. Duck, dodge, bat away an arm, flip over, back body drop, no, I'm on my foot. Like, not in complete synchro, different versions of it. I don't want it to look too choreographed here.
Yeah.
Not too choreographed, but the people start to realize, oh my God, they're doing it at the same time. They are doing this at the exact same goddamn time. Omega, Ospreay get the best of the respective dance partners who go scurry to either side of the ring. Omega and Ospreay each do the martial arts pose together in the middle of the ring, and then Ospreay, then they do stereo Terminator dives to the outside.
Yes, please.
Or they get cut off. They get cut off before they can actually do the dive. You do it again.
What about separate 2 counts when Kenny goes to the hidden blade and Ospreay goes to the one-winged angel? And it's like, my execution of your kill shot doesn't get it done. Like, Fletcher's allowed to kick out from a Kenny Omega hidden blade. And, or the Ospreay's permanently trying to go to the one-winged angel. We're partners, bruv. We're friends. But he can't. The one-winged angel's tough. He can't get it on.
Potential Wilbornian, physically impossible finish here. Could you do, and I think Fletcher and Takeshita would be like, yeah, try it. Fletcher particularly seems to be up for out. Hidden trigger. Could you do a hidden trigger?
Yeah.
Where one of them's, but like safely.
Oh, probably not, but...
But like, they don't care.
Do it anyway.
So Ospreay, hidden blade to the kneeling opponent at the same time as Omega does the V-trigger. Hidden trigger.
Hidden trigger. Kind of like...
V-blade. Hidden trigger's better because it's like... blade, same, it's a weapon with hidden in front of it. Even though
it'd be meat in the middle-esque, Sidge.
Right, okay. Why not ruin it with DIY, Chad?
I'm just thinking.
What is this, 2018?
Just thinking that's
Why are we talking about DIY? It's not 2018 anymore, bro. It's 2025. It's been 7 years. It's been 7 years.
They'll have to retire it after the hidden trigger.
Up next.
All I need is a hidden trigger.
Up next. Kazuchika Okada
First album was
versus...
good, wasn't it? The fall off was bad, but the first Maxine...
I also liked Our Velocity as a single.
Good single, but the album was...
not so good.
Okay.
Not so good. Certain Trigger was amazing, though.
Yeah.
Really great.
Special time
in my life. Kazuchika Okada versus Buddy Matthews, AEW Continental title match. I would put this on next, right? Because the crowd, their tits, they'll still be like scrambling for their tits because they've been blown off. These four.
Where's my bloody tits, mate?
By these four. Where's my bloody tits?
I want a bloody over there.
Lager here, tit here. Where's my tit? I don't know. I can't really do accents.
You think that's a tit?
This is a tit, mate. So basically, I'm going to go for Okada Matthews after this because they'll still be looking for their tits. Whoa, dude, where's my... Dude, where's my tits? He's West Country now. Say, dude, where's my tits in an Australian accent?
Dude, where's my tits?
Yeah, thank you. And I go,
There's one in
right,
the Danny.
okay. It doesn't matter now because look, here comes Okada.
It's not time to go to the bloody Danny because they're putting another match on.
So they will be exhausted.
Yep.
This adrenaline dump will be experienced. But we went to All In twice. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
Last year, Okada in a stadium to a market who's either never seen him or hasn't seen him in years is like, oh my God, he's just got that megastar effect of robed Okada. You're like, oh my God, he's just done. He just come up again. Then you got hometown hero Buddy Matthews, and Okada's going to win.
Yeah.
No doubt whatsoever in him losing. He's going to have to work. Buddy Matthews, pronoun boy, is going to have to work much harder than I would say Harley Cameron to get the crowd on side. But the good news about this is predictable winner. I don't think there's a good slot on it at all. They could even do this first. I don't know. But if you look at Okada, he's got absolutely unbelievable chemistry with virtually everyone except Bryan Danielson, incredibly, right? Where he can go with a total like strong style, strike-based, like aura ass kicker like Ishii and Shibata, have a great match. He can go with like a proper craftsman like a Tanahashi, have a great match. Stylistically, two of his most acclaimed series are against Kenny Omega, obviously, and Will Ospreay. And Buddy Matthews is in the same stylistic vein, if not as good or as thoughtful with his match construction. There should be, though, on the precedent of those incredible programs, like good stylistic chemistry between Okada and Matthews. And the good thing about Okada, even working at half speed, is that Buddy Matthews almost constantly works at 1.75, so he'll probably average out. Like Buddy Matthews will be going that drop kick that Okada does in the corner, where he kicks him off the ropes. Like Matthews will be I'll just go head first on the floor. He's on Australia. Sold out arena. The drop kick, he'll just jump on his own heat. He's going to be jumping on his head pretty much this entire match, folding himself in half to make Okada look like Okada. And that's if Okada isn't up for it. If he is up for it, we know from Omega and Ospreay that he can work unbelievable matches against this genre of opponent, if you like.
Yeah. It's probably one that'll draw me in on the night because I'm a sucker for like that kind of crowd response and really any sort of good crowd work. And as you point out, whatever Matthews is doing is going to be good crowd work because he's going to know that he can give everything to this. He's got form, to be absolutely fair to him, for delivering in the very occasional big feeling spots he's given. Had really good matches. Well, so when he worked Australia, obviously Super Showdown, it was a cruiserweight title match, but he elevated that whole thing, understanding what his assignment was there. But it gets brought up every now and then, but not as much anymore. The TV match with Roman Reigns.
When 2019.
When he knew the value of that, which was nothing compared to what it'd be with Roman Reigns now, but as a TV, like the gulf between them was so massive.
Yeah.
The trick was to make it feel competitive before he lost, and he did it. And it was, I think there's been a few cases like that in Matthews. I feel like, did he do it with Brian as well? I just think there's been a few cases where every now and then Matthews is asked to prove what a lot of people online think, where he's like, come on, WWE/AEW/wherever, push, buddy.
Yeah.
And that actually when those spots come around, he does sort of prove it.
Yeah.
So I think he will here. I think he'll lose. I think it's going to be a nice story to tell of the Aussies falling short before Tony Storm gets it done. And you're probably right about
New Zealand's Tony Storm gets it done.
Yeah. New Zealand, UK/Australia, Tony Storm.
Yeah.
Like, I think I hadn't really considered that about Okada. And it's my fault, but I've already been so disillusioned with the drop-off from the C2 that I kind of forgot that feeling you described, that Wembley pop. And,
you're right to forget.
Because it's been
But it does happen.
It does happen, and it is real, and the Okada effect is real, and it'll have the aura will carry him a long way. This is a well-booked show. You're right. It's a well-booked show.
I mean, this
it's tricky to arrange.
One of them's called the other one a bitch, and the other one has said, "I'm not a bitch. You're a bitch."
And I'll live there, or was very least born there.
So this isn't great booking, but it's good.
But it makes sense.
It's good matchmaking.
Yeah,
it's not good booking or storytelling. It's really good matchmaking.
Yeah.
I have got one concern about it before we move on. You got anything else to add on this, bro?
Nah,
Nothing?
not a thing.
I've got one concern. Not a goddamn thing. You're going to sit your arms folded, waiting to be impressed with this. I don't blame you because...
One arm folded, one arm like that because I want to be proved wrong, you know? Like, not handing my heart, pledging allegiance to the flag.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm ready to put my hands up and say, blew me away.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, they call each other a bitch, and Buddy Matthews lost a tag match to... It's not been well booked. It's the worst booked part of the show. Or is it? Because now...
Twist.
Brisbane Brawl. It's Cope and Jay White. Jay Wright, as Mox referred to him as on Collision. So it's Cope and Jay Wright.
Cope and Jay's Bogus Journey.
Yeah. This is John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. It's Claudio, isn't it? They haven't just sent Wheeler to do a job.
No, it's Claudio.
It's Claudio, yeah. In a Brisbane Brawl. Right. Here's the thing. Moxley, still just about star. Right, okay. Claudio, the absolute 3.75 star machine. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's amazing, sometimes it's drab, but the gentleman's 3.75 wrestler, okay? But he'll be up for it, right? And Jay White, home region hero.
Yep.
Here's another. I'm telling you, man, I'm endlessly positive about this goddamn show. What's it like seeing Cope live?
You're going to Okada me again, aren't you?
If you haven't seen Cope live
in
ages and years, what's it like seeing Cope live? I don't even like him.
It's something else. Like we saw him. This is the point as well, isn't it? It's only been 5 years since he's been back. It feels like 10 lifetimes because that's how his promos and matches make you feel sometimes. But it has only been 5 years. A generation of fans fell in love with him.
5 years is a long time though, bro.
It is. But it feels longer is what I'm saying. When you've watched a lot of these matches, it feels like you've been sitting there for several years watching a single match.
It's like he never left.
A whole generation of fans grew up loving him and then had the opportunity to see him ripped away. And so many of these, many of which we shared a building with in Cardiff and many others that will be in Brisbane, never thought they would see the day. And the reaction that Cope gets is that. It's that. I never thought I would see this day.
Yeah.
And that is different gravy. Mm-hmm. That you said it. You put Cardiff Edge above New Orleans. Yes,
you were there. You were there.
Scintillating.
It was insane. It's one of the loudest buildings I've ever been in.
It was on our new series, Best Match Ever, which we recommend heartily that you go and watch. We talk about the sustained pop that Hulk Hogan gets in Toronto. It's not that, but it was pretty close in how long it lasted.
It just goes on for ages. Everyone's losing their minds.
The mask, he looks silly, but it's just people cannot believe that he's in front of them in his wrestling gear. Yeah. It's that kind of reaction.
Yeah, so I reckon it'll be something similar. Even if it isn't, and it's like, it's Edge.
Bloody hell, go!
Go.
He's rated R.
I rated I bloody R. That's more like Will wants part of that. I'm sorry. Even if it isn't, it's a weapons brawl. Yeah. It's got shortcuts out the ass, and hey, this is indicative potentially of Tony Khan might be getting desperate and started to realize, right, people do not want heavy heat angles at the end of every show. The Death Riders, he probably he's heard it. Even if he sells it, which he's doing so far, he's chronically online. He knows and he's heard everything about the criticisms. So what's happened is over the last few weeks and this coming weekend, either Death Riders, quick promo to start the show from Mox, not to be seen, or you get the Death Riders in the main event, but they kind of get the comeuppance to a degree for once. Or, we're doing a match involving the Death Riders, right? Let's do a Hot Trios match or a Plunder Brawl with FTR Mid-South. Like they are, if you go over the past 2 or 3 weeks, I would say you can identify in each Death Riders segment or format, we can do that shortcut, that shortcut, that shortcut, that shortcut. What's happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks? Incredibly modest critical acclaim. Like the Mid-South Brawl was like, that's fun. Yeah. That was fun. It's not that bad. You can't just deny a pretty entertaining and hard-working match just because you hate the storyline. That's where I came from. Undisputed Kingdom versus Death Riders was flat out really, really, really good. And then people have even said, oh, it was harmless. I've read the word harmless about the Death Riders relative to what they've been doing anyway for the past 2 weeks. So I would say modest relative critical acclaim. And I expect that pattern to continue. As bored as I am, as much as I wish it was not going on, I expect this shortcut-laden pattern of modest relative critical acclaim to continue. And then Sam, on Saturday, because you've got 10,000 people going banana, and then you've got tables getting broken.
Yeah.
A threat of spikes being introduced.
Tables are always over.
Tables are always over. It's Mox, so you'll do more than tables. You might even get... Cope has said, I'm sick of the new Moxley. Okay? He said that. He could... What are they called, man? The things that Moxley had in his heat, it all in one.
Skewers.
Skewers in the heat. I want to see some skewers in the heat.
There's probably some
because you use them for the Barbie. You use them for the Barbie.
They throw him into a barbecue because it's a Brisbane boy.
Well, isn't
use a barbecue.
Yeah.
And then the skewers fall out, and then he starts putting them in the hair, and then like in the head. But this time he actually puts the food on the skewer. And that's so Moxley's just like those when you go to
put another Max on the Barbie.
When you go to one of those parties when there's like a tinfoil thing and the skewer sticking out of it with like fruit kebabs or whatever.
Yeah.
They just start making like kebabs on Moxley's head.
Meat. So John Moxley, you need.
You got any shrimp on that Barbie?
Yeah.
And then throw it on Moxley.
Yeah.
To that point, after they've skewered and barbecued his head, can we pin John Moxley, please?
Well. They could have Jay White do it.
Yep.
And make it 3-way. I want that.
Do I get a pasty if it's a 3-way?
You do.
Oh.
You do. Cope could pin Mox with the idea.
I think that's Cope.
If you look at the pattern of AEW World Champions, where did Mox feel? It feels like he's had it for 4 years. He's had it since Wrestle Dream.
Yeah.
We're talking September? October, September?
It's been a while. October, I think.
Yeah, we're looking at like 5 months. Yeah, 4 or 5. They could pin him here. It's like, oh my God, if he pins him at Grand Slam, he could do it at Revolution.
Yeah.
To be honest,
to get them to Revolution.
That's the thing. They need something. I
got you, kid. I got your number in Australia, and I've got it at Revolution.
Brisbane.
That's good stuff.
It's all good stuff. But no, I think they need because this AEW audience seems pretty unmoved, to say the least, about this world title program. So if they have, at least they can buy maybe through some corny booking. Oh God, that could be a title change if I purchase Revolution or if I attend it in person.
Right. What if all the build-up and the arena changes and the prestige of the show lowering and everything we've talked about in the intro, and the worry that, Christ, have they killed the town before they've even arrived? And then this show's going really well, and the idea is, right, we're not going to kill this town, we're actually going to make this town, we're going to give people such a great night that they actually can't wait for us to get it right the second time around. What if, Sidge, failed cash-in by Christian Cage as a result of a downed Moxley?
Oh.
Because he sees the Brisbane Brawl, and he's like, just in case, I think I'm actually going to fly over to Australia and take my little contract with me, my little contract. And he cashes in there and then, but loses. And that's a way for Moxley to get his heat back. Little Johnny's still got to get a pinfall win. But then they've actually dealt with that annoying storyline. But it's like the fans in the building, like, what's it like when a Money in the Bank cash is happening in front of you? It's electrifying, isn't it? Like, we've all been there. Like, if
see it for a tease, at least.
When that case comes out, or it's actually happening, it's like, title match right friggin' now, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Like, the audience getting that as a bonus when they weren't expecting a world title, even if it's 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And Edge looks upon it and he's like, I don't think so, Christian. Drills him with the spear, and Moxley is dead selling, but he's one arm over the top, whatever. And Cope's like, it's going to be my shot at Revolution, not yours, Christian. So then you've got something in the back of the mind.
I like your Cope. You've got a good Cope.
Yeah. He's very intense. And that's then dealt with.
What's your favourite food, Cope?
Kind of, look at me, Sidge. I like rice cakes. Bone dry. Just protein. Nothing but chicken. Occasionally fish.
Rice cake.
Beth cooks a hell of a dry chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not put Beth into it.
But what did she ever do? She married him. The story's dealt with then, but the Aussie crowd, like, You want strength, mate? They put the belt on the line.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it out there.
Yeah, I'll come back.
I'd probably come back if they ever came back.
Claudio says.
If I could afford the flights.
So Cope pins Mox.
Bloody big country.
Cope pins Mox in an over delivery of a match in which another Mox on the Barbie is the spot that we're calling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do that. Final 2 matches. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I should look at my notes here. And 2 women's matches at Grand Slam.
What?
Right. I'm going to go with the presumed main event first.
Okay.
Because I think there's a more interesting debate to be had about who wins the TBS title. Mariah May versus Toni Storm. AEW Women's World title. I think they've done a good and effective enough, if flawed logic-wise, build to this match. If you'd have told me that, right, on the eve of All In, Mariah May's going to win, but then they're going to have Toni win it back in Australia, you'd think, freaking hell, what? Then you think, like, Toni Storm's done an excursion, some great press, like, during, like, the tours and all the rest of it. She's always kept herself in the mix. And then, like, all that Stan Hansen stuff was glorious. And then
Made her feel bigger as a star as well.
Yeah,
Taking
absolutely.
herself away for a
this
bit.
international jet-setting star, you know, and then the Stan Hansen press interview was great. And she does that really funny amnesia bit where, if nothing else, it just underscores how far she's come, because she's playing self-aware Toni Storm as a dork when there was no self-awareness to the bit, I don't think, whatsoever. She just couldn't do it way back when. They've done a good job. There's just been some pretty... It's weird logic along the way. I expect Toni Storm to win, but in our fantasy booking, the theme of the night, and they should hammer home, well, the theme of the night is, you know, no one's going to go home happy, sadly, on our first visit to Australia. But then Toni Storm comes through. I expect this to be really violent. I really liked the All-In match. It was great to be there live. If I'm being honest, I don't think it would have been that good if I just watched it on TV. What I'm saying is I think they've got a lot better in them. They'll be bang up for this. I hope there's not any melodrama at the finish. Go on. Each role has been established. They have been trying to fool one another, so I do expect maybe something, but don't pretend that you're each other's friends. I don't want to see anything. Maybe I'm like analyzing the wrong thing or projecting the wrong thing onto this very like outwardly theatrical mind games thing, but I don't want to see any acting in the storyline premised on it. Am I being just barking up the wrong tree here?
I think you'll get all of it.
Yeah,
I think you'll get that, but you will get the violence, so it'll square it away kind of thing.
I don't think they did the best job of that last time.
There is a slight concern, but I'm always about, like, do the ends justify the means? And I have absolute certainty they will. And I think the optics of having the show going off the air, hot building, Toni Storm, Pyro, world champion, will work wonders for AEW, not just in this local market, but for AEW as a brand and for Toni Storm as the person to put on the posters and all that kind of stuff. So I back it to the hill. There is a little bit of hot but not red or white hot, inevitable WrestleMania main event conclusion about this.
Yes.
John Cena winning at WrestleMania 21, Batista winning at 21. The years where, like, you just had, like a Cena over Shawn Michaels or whatever, where, it's a nice match. Oh, yeah, it's gone the way it needed to go. I'm not roaring. I'm not wanting to run through walls.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing the natural conclusion to this. God, I've gone a bit quiet for a bit. That's a bit strange.
Yeah.
The finish happens and they've come up and everything's fine
Yeah.
and you're happy. But you kind of actually, you were spent from something else earlier in the night. So this is not you giving you 10, but you leave with a big old smile.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of that about it. And maybe it won't. Maybe the way they agent it, maybe the way the rest of the card plays out. And all of these things have an impact.
I am listening. That's just something I need to research.
But I remember several WrestleMania main events where it's not been bad. It's just been so expected that everybody's been permitted to settle down and kind of just come up for the last couple of minutes and get what they wanted. Leave the building. It's like the dictionary definition of sending the fans home happy, but rather than sending them home melted, euphoric. Do you know what I mean? Like, what would be a recent example, I suppose? Something like was super successful. But like, you know when who was it, like 29? Yeah, John Cena beats The Rock in the main event of 29, and like all feels right with the world that Cena will gain the title, but it's not. Daniel Bryan winning at 30.
Yeah.
The comparison is, and once upon a time they might have been shooting for Toni Storm getting that.
Toni Storm's stuff actually looked like it hurts though, which Cena's doesn't.
That's true. But just in terms of the kind of I think you've kind of alluded to this, the real euphoria, if we're being honest, bone deep euphoria is in Harley Cameron beating Mercedes Moné and not Toni Storm beating Mariah May.
I think it's
they have to follow through. They have
to follow through. Should we go straight on to the TBS title match? Because I think it's a nice segue.
It might eat the main event to lunch.
It might. Well, that's the thing. It might, but it might not. I expect the work, the technical, precise, the contact, the intent, the work to be better in Mariah May versus Toni Storm. And look, they'll be completely up for this. They beat the crap out of each other in Mariah May's home country, so it's time for her to do the job this time around. The fact that you'd expect Toni to go over, and that's the plan, and it's been in the works for so long, is another counter-argument of, Harley's not getting it done. Because if she wins and that pops bigger, all that work they've put into Toni Storm is not for naught, but it's just a little bit, besmirches it a little bit.
And she shouldn't win.
Well,
I've seen the chat, and I loved that. I couldn't watch the Dynamite review. We couldn't have put it over more. She shouldn't win. It's not the time, the place, or the person. And I like striking while the iron's hot. Broadly, I'm in favour of it, like, in general in wrestling. This is not that. I love what Harley Cameron is becoming. But I think you're misunderstanding the story if you're thinking that she should win because she's hot. I really do. Like, she's a better loser in this dynamic than a winner as well.
Right. In a vacuum, I agree, right? But AEW so many times has went, not yet for you, for X, Y, Z. And there is a graveyard of wrestlers who just had their big moment and it never panned out for them. Wardlow, Ricky Starks, Winter is Coming, Wardlow, the Double or Nothing post MJF win. Like, they've taken their sweet time with so many wrestlers and so many moments. If they did this once for Harley Cameron, right, then it could have something akin to, and again, I've used this analogy recently, so I'm going to use it again, but a similar caveat. I am in no way saying that the readiness of Harley Cameron can be compared to Okada, New Beginning 2012, Rainmaker Shock, as it subsequently becomes known. But that one booking decision was so bold that even the most predictable New Japan main events for years after, you always had the precedent and that thought in the back of your head of, well, they've done it once. There was always Okada. You can never rule that out. We've long passed the point in AEW of ruling things like this out.
Yeah.
I would say for the good of the booking and a ripple effect on the booking and a ripple effect on the fans getting up for these matches, particularly when Dynamite and Collision and even the pay-per-views are so predictable elsewhere. I think they need to do this not just for Harley Cameron, or not even for Harley Cameron at all, really, and she can lose it subsequently, for the good of AEW. And it's not as if they've got the luxury of star power.
No.
They really don't. I think for the good of AEW and just that sense of, they could do this after all, because they've done it, they failed to do it, and then thought, well, we should have done it, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Didn't do a private party, and I'm not saying that they would have got booked much better if they'd have beat Young Bucks the first time, right? Yeah. It's just not that company anymore. Can you imagine the scenes if... And it's still an unbelievable match, and it still was so instrumental in getting them over to the point where I resented them. Are you all right there? You're coughing?
I'm all right.
You sure?
Tired talking about it was great action.
Okay. You know what I'm like. If the Acclaimed beat Swerve Not Glory at All Out 2022.
I didn't think that was right then. I was one of the ones not calling for the audible. I wanted it exactly as it
but, okay.
Even in the moment, I was watching, have that quick thought process, and I was like, no, not tonight, another time.
I loved it. I would have just wished, what if they just did it? What if they just did it?
Yeah.
Be spontaneous, Hamflett. Live in the moment.
Look, there was not a single shred of me that wasn't positive and hopeful when Jey Uso won the Rumble. I wasn't sitting there going, what have they bloody done?
Yeah.
Even there wasn't a sense of shock where people were going, what? I was just thrilled. I was like, there's a guy I love winning a big match.
Yeah. So we've established WWE allowed to do surprises. AEW not.
I tell you,
Take the piss.
I'll tell you there's a WWE element to this, and it's in Mercedes Moné's brain. She hasn't even lost yet. She will be wanting a American pay-per-view main event, the biggest deal, putting somebody over for that TBS title loss. This isn't it. And maybe it's Harley Cameron another time.
Yeah.
But I don't even disagree with what you're saying, because you're thinking company-wide rather than just Harley Cameron, aren't you? But I think she will be...
money. Go on.
I just think she will want to protect that first defeat, not to mention the TBS title, not to mention the stakes of beating her full stop, for something else. Maybe not someone else, because nobody's felt as hot as Harley Cameron going into a Mercedes match.
Yeah.
Since
no one.
Yeah, in AEW, it is her. And on the night will pop. If she gets it done...
It'd be amazing.
Yeah. It's like you want to watch the fiction play out. I just don't think this is the right time for anybody.
So your perspective, and I get where you're coming from, I just disagree, is Mercedes and politics are a big thing, and then you've got your main event to consider, and you don't want to ruin that pop. Then it becomes inevitable. You're waiting for it rather than, well, give us a happy ending. Then there's an entitlement could creep in. So I get all of it. But the counter argument of it's not the time and it should be on pay-per-view and blah, 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 it never works out that neatly. It might
Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber.
Not in AEW, I mean.
Oh, in AEW.
In AEW.
I was just thinking that one. I was
this is an AEW preview podcast.
I was stubborn about the hometown guy not winning when it felt good, because there was a bigger story that was more important to tell.
But in AEW there isn't right now. They don't have the luxury of waiting. Oh, sorry, Sammy doesn't have to win because we've got Cody Rhodes, bigger babyface than John Cena. I'm not saying they can't tell a story like Athena going to it all in. She can win the title back. And Dave Meltzer, who gets a lot of pelters, made a really good point.
Dave Pelters.
Yeah. Everything has to.
I know. I'm sorry. It's him. He's done something to me.
He's corrupted.
He's corrupted me.
He's corrupted both of us. She's got a career rival, or someone he can go and revisit. A bogey team in English football. Maybe if they've got the following for not
a booger team.
I'm sure I've asked this before, right? And I've probably forgotten of someone in England. If a team frequently loses to a side that they should be better than, historically they're better than, lower leagues, whatever. My God, we got a bogey team. If there's an equivalent phrase in America, and it's delightfully American, I would love to hear it, okay?
Because they have jinxes and things. The
The
curse of the Bambino, where Boston couldn't win the World Series.
Oh my God, they're a cursed team.
I tried to give tickets to Bill Buckner, but he couldn't bend over to pick him up. Pete Rose, all-timer.
Yeah.
Baseball stuff.
Yeah. So you could do that. You could condition fans to not have to expect every single result to be incredibly predictable, which is a really key failing of AEW's over the past 5 years. You can miss shows, even ones with good matches or good promos, because there's just not that sense that, they're just going to shake everything up. Here's the not so good part about this, right, is the sentiment's great, and it's got my personal thing on Harley Cameron's gone from, I admire her for getting over, even if I don't think she's funny. Personally, I've got a more corrupted, dank sense of humor. So it's gone from that to, well done, getting yourself over, genuinely, it's really hard in this company especially, to, oh, hang on, she's really doing something. And then when the tonal shift happens last week on Collision, continues into Dynamite of, oh my God, she just seems like a really good, hard-working person and not just a gimmick.
Yeah.
He's clever, and I quite like it. I would like this for her. To that one on Dynamite, that music video of, I should stop showing off and work hard, actually. That's what I need to do. I'm like, this is such great babyface booking. She's completely endeared herself to me. She'd already endeared herself to the crowd. I was like, I'm late on the bandwagon. So it's gone from that 1% of doubt because it's the hometown. It's on 5 to 10% of doubt. And a lot of people online, at least on my timeline yesterday, were either fantasy booking the Harley Cameron win or saying why it shouldn't happen yet. The idea is growing that the result could happen, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Here's the thing, though, and we need to wrap up pretty damn soon, so we'll play a very quick version of Down to Play the Game. How many matches has Harley Cameron had?
Oh,
Total.
She definitely was kind of like the workhorse a bit at one point because he was seeing like little improvements every time.
She was the jobber of the week.
Yeah.
It's Penelope Ford's turn now. Everyone gets a turn.
I'll go with 47.
You're not that far away because it's 62.
Yeah. I knew it was less than 100.
Emotion's one thing, sentiment's one thing.
She needs to learn like 3 moves.
I know that's a thing. I know. And she's got a good destroyer.
Yeah.
Do you see the destroyer on Valkyrie it was?
Yeah. The
Mercedes Moné bumping for that destroyer could be the biggest pop of the entire night.
This is
one of the biggest pops of the year.
Mercedes could tell her, I'm pretty good bumping off this. You got this in your arsenal, and it's the stuff they've been working on. So like the 2 or 3 big moves that are going to get the pops where it's like, who was it that I can't remember who it was now. Somebody was giving the Ocean Cyclone suplex at one point, wasn't it? And it was like, it was Maxine Dupree.
Maxine Dupree.
What? And like, but that works like in a bubble, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's sort of, you do that once and Jesus Christ.
It's just the juxtaposition of it all. So that's the thing. She doesn't have to do that much, but she has only worked 62 matches. She's incredibly green. She's better than a lot of people are, having had that many matches, but she's not Kurt Angle, Jun Akiyama.
No.
She isn't that really fast learner. But then maybe she'll completely level up. Maybe the odd flub won't matter. Maybe that destroyer will look as good as it does in my head. Maybe that near fall looks amazing. Maybe Mercedes Moné does that foot on the rope. Oh, I did not see that coming. Yeah. This could be great. The ceiling could be emotionally great, if not completely tight. She's just had 62 matches, so it might overwhelm her. I think this could be special. I would absolutely belt her up. I got nothing else to say on this other than for the good of breaking up that feeling of, I know who's winning the match. I think it honestly diminishes every AEW match ever at this point that you ever see. They have to work so hard to get you out of that funk because every result is possible, predictable. This will make every result possible if they actually go with it. I think for the good of the booking in the company, they need to do this.
She's worked me, well, and I love Mercedes Moné, but she's worked me into this being the match, truthfully, in my heart I'm most excited for because the expectation of the class tag match is a different kind of excitement. I can't wait to see the things I know they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
This is like almost don't know quite what to expect, but I'm excited by that.
There's a template for this match as well because she thinks she doesn't earn it. She thinks she's rubbish. She thinks she's pathetic for thinking she can stand up.
Don't do it to me, Sidge.
They're going to do some callbacks to Sasha Bailey here.
And that's one of the best matches ever.
It is one of the best matches ever. Maybe if you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on YouTube, you will get an in-depth thought and indeed thoughts on that match.
One of these days.
We're also looking for your thoughts on AEW Grand Slam Australia and whether I've hyped it up too much or Hamflett is correct in his rather apathetic misery. And if you want to do that, sound off in the comment section below, or alternatively, you can follow us all on X at WhatCulture WWE. You can follow Michael Hamflett there at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow me at Sidgwick. Coming up on your feeds today, we've got Wrestle Culture, and I believe Hamflett and Wilborn recorded one of their self-indulgent SmackDown previews.
Sure did.
So check those out. Don't forget to like the video on YouTube or subscribe to us again. Thank you very, very much for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.